Shadows of the Heart. In the quiet suburb of Evergreen Heights, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the relentless California sun, Alex Harper lived what most would call the American dream. At 42, he was a mid-level marketing executive at a bustling tech firm in downtown San Francisco, commuting daily across the Bay Bridge in his sleek black Tesla. His wife, Sarah, 40, was the anchor of their world, a high school English teacher whose passion for literature had once lit up their college dorm rooms like fireflies in summer. They had 2 kids, Mia, 12, with her mother's curly auburn hair and a knack for debate club, and Ethan, 9, who inherited Alex's lopsided grin and obsession with soccer. Their home on Willow Lane was a 2-story colonial with white shutters and a wraparound porch, the kind of place that screamed stability. Inside, framed photos chronicled their journey: the wedding in Napa Valley, honeymoons in Maui, birthdays with cake-smeared faces. But beneath the veneer, cracks had formed, subtle at first, like hairline fractures in porcelain. It started 5 years ago, after Ethan's birth. Sarah dove into motherhood with the fervor of a novelist crafting her magnum opus, but the demands eroded her edges. Sleepless nights bled into school runs, PTA meetings, and lesson plans that stretched until midnight. Alex, meanwhile, climbed the corporate ladder, his days a blur of client pitches and late-night strategy sessions. Conversations dwindled to logistics. Did you pick up milk? What's for dinner? The spark that once ignited spontaneous road trips to Big Sur now flickered dimly, buried under mortgages and carpools. Alex felt it most acutely on Sunday evenings, as the family gathered for movie night. Sarah would curl up on the couch, eyes heavy from grading papers, while the kids fought over the remote. He'd steal glances at her, remembering the woman who recited Shakespeare's sonnets in the rain, her laughter a melody that drowned out the world. But lately, her touches were perfunctory: a quick kiss on the cheek, a hand on his arm like checking a pulse. He loved her, deeply, in the way one loves an old oak tree, steadfast, rooted, but no longer blooming. Work became his refuge. The office buzzed with ambition, a stark contrast to the quiet domesticity at home. That's where he met Elena Vasquez. She was 35, a graphic designer newly transferred from the New York office, with a portfolio that screamed innovation: bold colors, minimalist lines that captured emotions in pixels. Her desk was a riot of creativity: succulents in mismatched pots, sticky notes with doodles of fantastical creatures, and a framed photo of her hiking the Appalachian Trail, her dark hair windswept, smile radiant against the autumn leaves. Their first interaction was innocuous. Alex needed visuals for a campaign pitch on sustainable tech, and Elena's mock-ups arrived in his inbox like a breath of fresh air. "These are brilliant," he emailed back. "We need to brainstorm over coffee." She agreed, and they met at the cafe on the 3rd floor, overlooking the bay. Elena stirred her latte with absent-minded swirls, her hazel eyes locking onto his with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "I love how your concepts blends nostalgia with futurism," she said, leaning forward. "It's like you're saying we can honor the past without being chained to it." Alex laughed, a genuine sound he hadn't heard from himself in months. "That's exactly it. Most people think progress means erasing history, but I believe in evolution." They talked for an hour, the pitch forgotten. Elena shared stories of her divorce 2 years prior, a messy unraveling after her ex's affair with his assistant. "It shattered me," she admitted, tracing the rim of her cup. "But it taught me to chase what sets my soul on fire. Life's too short for half measures." Her words lingered like perfume. That night, as Alex drove home through the fog-shrouded bridge, he replayed the conversation. Sarah was waiting with reheated lasagna and a tired smile. "How was the meeting?" she asked, pouring him wine. "Productive," he lied, the omission sitting heavy in his chest. As they ate, Mia chattered about her science fair project on climate change. Ethan demonstrated a new soccer trick. Alex nodded along, but his mind wandered to Elena's laugh, the way her fingers danced when she gestured. The affair began innocently enough, as these things often do. Coffee meetings turned weekly, then daily excuses, brainstorming sessions that stretched into lunches in hidden bistros in the Mission District, where murals splashed color against weathered walls. Elena was a whirlwind, spontaneous, her energy infectious. She dragged him to a street art festival one Saturday, claiming it was research for work, though Sarah thought he was at a client golf outing. They wandered hand in brush, her arm linking his as she pointed out graffiti that told stories of rebellion and love. "You're different out here," she said, popping a tamale from a vendor into her mouth. "Less buttoned up. I like it." Alex felt seen, truly seen, for the first time in years. With Elena, conversations flowed like the Pacific, deep, unpredictable, alive. She challenged him. "What's one regret you'd erase?" He paused, thinking of the promotion he turned down to prioritize family, the dreams of starting his own agency deferred indefinitely. "Marrying too young?" she teased, but her eyes held no judgment, only curiosity. "No," he said firmly. "Sarah is my foundation, but maybe not nurturing the fire." Their first kiss happened on a rainy Tuesday after a late-night deadline crunch at the office. The building was empty, fluorescent lights humming like distant bees. Elena leaned over his shoulder to point out a flaw in the layout, her breath warm on his neck. He turned, and the world narrowed to the space between them. Her lips were soft, tasting of mint and possibility. It lasted seconds, an eternity. "I'm sorry," he whispered, pulling back. "Don't be," she replied, her hand on his cheek. "I've wanted that since the coffee." Guilt crashed over him like a wave, but so did desire, a raw, aching need that had long been dormant. He drove home that night with the radio off, the silence amplifying his turmoil. Sarah was asleep when he slipped into bed, her back to him, the space between them a chasm. The next morning, he confessed nothing. Instead, he buried himself in routine. Breakfast with the kids, a perfunctory kiss for Sarah, the commute. But Elena's texts lit up his phone like fireflies. "Last night was magic. Coffee today?" He replied yes, and the dance began. What started as stolen kisses evolved into full-blown secrecy. Weekends, when Sarah chaperoned school trips, Alex met Elena at her loft in Soma, a converted warehouse with exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the city lights, and a bed draped in silk sheets the color of midnight. There, time suspended. They made love with the urgency of forbidden fruit, her body a map he traced with reverence. Elena was uninhibited, whispering fantasies in Spanish that made his blood sing. "Te amo," she'd murmur in the afterglow, though they both knew it was the heat of the moment. But it was more than physical. Elena reignited parts of Alex he'd forgotten, a poet who scribbled verses in margins, the adventurer who once backpacked Europe. She read his old journals, laughed at his youthful idealism. "You're not just a marketer," she said one evening, as they shared takeout sushi on their balcony. "You're a storyteller. Why hide it?" With Sarah, life was a well-worn path, predictable, safe, but overgrown with weeds. Arguments flared over small things, forgotten anniversaries, unequal chore loads. "You're always distracted," Sarah accused one night after he missed Ethan's soccer game for a work emergency. "Am I not enough anymore?" "You are," he soothed, pulling her close, but his mind flashed to Elena's touch. The lie tasted bitter. As summer faded into autumn, the affair deepened. Elena became his confidant, the one he called after a bad board meeting, the one who sent playlists of indie folk that echoed his soul. He bought her gifts, a silver necklace with a locket shaped like a key, symbolizing the doors she unlocked in him. In return, she painted him a portrait, abstract swirls of blue and gold, capturing his restless heart. With yet shadows loomed, Mia noticed her father's longer hours, the way his phone buzzed incessantly. "Are you okay, Jod?" she asked during a rare father-daughter hike in Muir Woods, redwoods towering like ancient guardians. Just work, kiddo, he said, ruffling her hair, but her words pierced him. Ethan, too, grew quieter, clinging more to Sarah. Sarah felt the shift acutely. Once vibrant, her laughter now rare, replaced by sighs over lesson plans. She joined a book club, devouring novels about reinvention, women leaving stifling marriages for self-discovery. In quiet moments, she'd stare at their wedding photo, wondering when Alex's eyes had lost their spark for her. The turning point came in October, during a company retreat in wine country. Alex and Elena stole away to a vineyard at dusk, the air thick with the scent of fermenting grapes. They lay on a blanket amid rows of vines, stars pricking the velvet sky. "I love you," he said, the words slipping out unbidden. Elena's eyes welled. "I love you too, but what about her, your life?" He had no answer. Driving back, the Tesla's autopilot humming, reality crashed in. He pictured Sarah waiting.
Christmas came, a forced cheer. Sarah returned for the kids' sake, sleeping in the guest room. They exchanged gifts in strained silence, a scarf for her, a watch for him. That night, as carols played softly, she found him in the study, head in hands. "I miss us," he whispered. She sat beside him, the space between tentative. "Do you love her still?" "Yes," he admitted, "but it's not the same. It's fire, consuming, but it burns out. You're the embers that warm me through the cold." Tears fell anew. "How do I trust again?" "You don't. Not yet, but we fight for it, together." Therapy followed, couples sessions in a sunlit office overlooking the Presidio. They unearthed buried resentments, her fear of fading into motherhood, his terror of mediocrity. Alex ended things with Elena definitively, a tearful coffee where he returned the necklace. "I choose my family," he said. She nodded, heartbroken but understanding. "Be happy, Alex. You deserve it." Healing was non-linear. There were setbacks, a heated argument over deleted messages, nights when Sarah slept on the couch. But glimmers emerged. Mia aced her debate, Ethan scored his first goal, and in those joys they reconnected. Date nights resumed, picnics in Golden Gate Park, walks along the Embarcadero where they held hands like newlyweds. Spring brought renewal. Sarah published a short story in a literary journal, her words weaving tales of betrayal and redemption. Alex pitched his own idea at work, a campaign on evolving love, drawing from their scars. It landed him a promotion, but more importantly, purpose. One evening in May, as jacaranda blooms carpeted the streets in purple, they stood on their porch, wine glasses clinking. The kids laughed inside, building a fort from couch cushions. "I forgive you," Sarah said softly, "not because it's easy, but because you're worth it." Alex pulled her close, her head on his shoulder. "And I promise to choose you, every day." In the distance, the sun dipped into the bay, painting the sky in hues of forgiveness. Love, he realized, wasn't a single flame, but a hearth tended through storms. Elena had been a detour, a lesson in what he could lose. Sarah was the destination, the heart of home. Their story didn't end in perfection, no tidy bow on a fractured vase. Trust rebuilt brick by brick, vulnerability their mortar. But in the quiet moments, as they lay tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender and second chances, Alex knew he was exactly where he belonged.